This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch. Tim Dahl, I do believe.
Correct.
I can't even count that high at the moment. What about you, Timothy?
I guess I could if I wanted to. I don't want to.
How high do you think human comprehension actually extends into mathematical comprehension?
So that's a
Do you even
load.
understand that question in the first place?
Yeah. The
Of
question.
course you do.
I mean, the thing is, like numbers, like I mean, even any high number, even when you get to like 100,000. I mean, these are they're all of it's very abstract to people. They can't actually really picture what that quantity
No,
is.
no, when you can't picture it, it's well, and that's why most concepts of stocks or money are fraudulent because, and especially when countries have different, we're not going back into the UK versus the USA until 1975, differential between a million, a billion, etc. Yeah, I think if you could stack it up in your living room and count it, you can comprehend it. But too many
Yeah,
zeros.
not to redirect it, but in some one way, or one thing I always am fascinated about is when mathematicians discover a new number. Like what's that about? Talk about abstract.
Well,
All right.
speaking of discovering something that also is a numerically impossible to comprehend concept is scientists recently reported to the American Geophysical Union their annual research, and they reported that about 70% of the total number of microbes on the planet live where, Tim?
In the stomach.
Underground.
Oh, underground. Okay. All
I
right.
mean, that's on the human body, yes, but 70% of
No,
microbes
that wouldn't make any sense.
total live underground, and they represent about 15 to 23 billion tons of carbon. In other words, hundreds of times greater than the carbon mass of every human so far on this planet. So when the scientists were like describing this, because they were kind of shocked that there was. I mean, we should go back to the mushrooms again. How many spores do we breathe every time we step on? Mushrooms being highly everywhere we are, including our nose element. So anyway, the bacteria that they have found, right, which is just they're considering it like a subterranean Galapagos, even though it doesn't concern animals. There's just so many different kinds of bacteria and microbes, and they're just getting to understand or research what that is. So, and how far anyway have we gone really deep or shallow into the Earth's core or a crust? It's hard to get down there. Same way we can only go so far in the ocean.
Yeah. There's a lot to be discovered and explored, and we never will
Well,
be
there's
able to
more
do
that
it
we
all.
can't see than what we can see, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot more than we can't comprehend than we do comprehend, or even can get to a freaking 15-minute intro.
I
I'm
guess
just saying.
with like nano tools, drones, robots. I guess they'll start digging really deep and going further.
Well, and speaking of digging deep and going further, let's go back in time because you know how
Sure.
there are so many modern diseases and ailments that were never talked about or never acknowledged as much as they are now because we just didn't have either the resource or the access to the knowledge. I mean, like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autism. But researchers also, like, what the hell, Alzheimer's? The Greeks didn't have Alzheimer's, but the Romans did. You want to take a guess why? Same reason Americans have it, by the way.
Metal poisoning.
Keep going.
Lead. Um,
Always 100 or 98% correct, are you, Timothy Simordahl?
oh my, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And
But
that,
also,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I mean,
I have a
it
little
had to do
more
with
of a quiz for you.
the newer tools and also like waterworks and things like that, right?
Exactly. They use different materials. But okay, so how about risk of lead exposure? We know paint. How about dark chocolate? How about,
Oh,
of
right.
course, we know water. How about juices and some plant-based milks combined? They have been found to contain both lead and arsenic. And then again, rice, of course.
Vaping too. I mean, there's
Well,
all
yeah, but we're just talking about even we know
well,
that that's not
see the
good.
problem with with lead, heavy metals, and stuff like that. Once it gets deep in your lung, it never goes that way. It's there for the rest of your life. So
Well, I mean, look, if it's in all water and almost all food and in the paint and also in common spices, like they're finding it in spice. So we have not only the lead poisoning, we also have the nanoplastic, the microplastics,
Oh
which are
yeah.
in everything at this point. So
Yep.
just remember that the next time you go to a restaurant that doesn't give you paper takeaways, you're
Oh
eating a
my.
lot more plastic than you need.
Well,
But still, I mean, I'm still amazed there's as many people as there are. Yes, we hear every day of somebody else dying of cancer. Just last night, we were out having a drink, you and I and a few other rogues, and I stepped outside, and some man came up to me and goes, I go, okay, what do you want? He goes, my mother just died of pancreatic cancer. I'm like, oh, please, only one of your relatives? Oh, come on. What do you want to drink? Yes, please. Oh, come on. There's lead in that glass.
oh my. I think I met that guy too. We can talk about that later.
I go, you want a drink? Just ask for a fucking drink. Don't give me a sob story because mine will top you and I get paid for telling them. So whatever. Leave me alone. Yeah.
All right. So exotic animals, right? That's
Love them.
people like to purchase. That
I know where you're going.
I'm going a few places with this. Like, first of all, just the other week, two Cody. Just the other week, I think it was like last week. Two Kodiak grizzly bears were discovered in Florida. Of course, they're not from
what? Wait a minute.
Wandering around now. Those are not allowed even in Florida as pets, as far as
come on. Now, okay, we're going to hear a story about taking 3 weeks to hitchhike from Detroit to California, but how the hell did the Kodiaks get there?
black market exotic pet trade, and they got out. I mean, the authorities will see black bears in Florida, but not Kodiaks. They're definitely not native. They're only native to Kodiak Island. They're a little subspecies.
Where is Kodiak Island?
Alaska, like
okay, of course it is
up the coast. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. It ain't near Florida.
No, it's in terms of North America, it's basically as far away you can get from Florida.
Yeah.
On a more nicer story or regarding exotic animals, Rocky the kangaroo was found. It had escaped. It's in Texas near Texarkana, which is
kangaroos in Texas. Well, the weather makes sense.
Well, that's what they say. Texas is one of 13 states that allows you to have a pet kangaroo.
Oh, give me a break.
And so
I mean, do people know what they're getting into when they fuck around with a kangaroo?
Fortunately, Rocky was pretty peaceful and wasn't so difficult to kind of get back, but it was hopping around.
I'm pretty peaceful too until I, let one rip.
One woman who was a witness to the scene of a bunch of cops kind of surrounding the kangaroo and getting it. She said, I had no idea you could have kangaroos in Texas, and I had to fight to get my dog, and I didn't realize I wasn't aiming very high. So she seemed to be very excited about the idea of having a pet kangaroo.
I mean, if they made minis, maybe pocket size. That's about it.
They're called Joeys.
All my best boyfriends are called Joey. Joey.
Well, you and Keckler are about to go to Australia, and last time I was there with you, and I think it was 2020, right? Just like a week or a couple weeks before the shutdown. I did a little. We were in Castlemaine and did a little drive around the area, and
we saw a bunch of them at dusk. That's when they come out.
But one time, I don't think you were in there. It doesn't matter. It was a ton of them. I'll
be going that route again. I will be on the route from Melbourne to Castlemaine, and there will be roos on the side of the road at dusk as when they come out to look for trouble to get into.
It's like they're deer. It's basically like they're deer. It's that common. You see a bunch of them. And
what about the other story about the Gila monster? Is that what they're called?
Yes. Gila monster, yeah.
Gila. I'm surprised you don't have that one because somebody just got bit by their pet. Story.
Well, yeah,
and very dangerous.
Yeah, those are venomous, right?
Yes, not right. Exactly. Venomous. Well, speaking of something that's dangerous, now we fly all the time. We got no choice because we can no longer hitchhike like we once did, especially not across the ocean. But I don't know if you heard about last week that there were a few flights, British Airways, Virgin, United, that reached speeds. Now, the average flight speed is about 575 miles an hour. Yeah. While the jet stream drove these flights 800 miles an hour traveling
Whoa.
along the jet stream. And people were, let's say, pooping in their pants.
What that went from like West Coast to East Coast kind of thing?
Yeah, it was going to Washington to London, actually.
Oh,
So,
whoa.
which is, yeah, which is weird because usually the jet stream pushes you faster, I think, going the other way. Is that true?
No,
Which
no,
way
no,
does
no,
it
no, no,
push
no.
you?
It's going
No,
it's
it
going
moves from
it's
west to
going
east.
east. Yeah, it's going east. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So it did cut a lot of time out, but people were just severe turbulence, perhaps.
Ugh.
Yeah, severe
I've
turbulence.
had I got a pretty fast jet stream flight once where I think it was going from California to back here, and it shaved off like an hour. It was like insane.
I mean, I say go for the jet stream. Now, jet streams are one thing, but and it's weird because we were talking yesterday, and I and maybe some everybody was having like weird computer or phone things, and then of course, and it's funny because I say this all the time as like a vague excuse. Must be a solar flare. Well, there were two really powerful solar flares that knocked out a lot, especially of AT&T phones, computers. I mean, these were pretty gigantic, massive bursts. And for anybody who's interested in the beauty of a violent nature, you just go to the NASA website to see. Of course, we think of the sun as burning hot and red, but they have these incredible turquoise images of like
Mm.
the frequency of the flares going out and the damaging effects of it. So I'm all rah rah for the solar flares. I think it's next to eclipses might be one of my favorite acts that come from outer space in that we can witness.
Yeah,
I,
I
lo-
mean,
I love I love a computer or a telephone blackout, unless it's at 3 a.m. when I'm watching forensics, then I get pissed off.
well, I know because Russia they leaked that they're building or developing a weapon to take out satellites. So yeah, just the whole idea of just everything, all these networks and all this shit shutting down.
Well, the
That's
magnetic field, the Earth's magnetic field, it protects us from the physical effects of flares. But the electrical and magnetic fields they generate, that goes right to the electrical and communications network. There's no protection. And they're called coronal mass ejections.
okay, cool.
Coronal mass ejection. See, I mean, it kind of sounds a bit sexy to me. I don't know.
It's kind of
But also, Uber and Lyft drivers were going out. 911 was
Ooh.
going out. Food delivery. A lot of people got, and
Oh,
especially, there's no good network anyway to be on. They
no,
all
it's
suck.
all scam.
They all
Don't get me
rip you
started.
off. They all suck.
I
I
mean,
say
there was
bring back the walkie-talkie.
CB.
CB, not bad. That's Big Lou. That's
Yeah,
his
exactly.
favorite.
I'd like to see. Yeah, you adopting CB lingo and
10-4, big buddy. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
all
I
that
got it in
shit.
me. Oh,
So
it's
so
rough.
so
Don't get me started. It's only Thursday, not Friday night when we're
uh-oh.
recording this.
So Florida tragedies.
Again?
Well,
Forever, always?
this family from Indiana were on vacation down near Fort Lauderdale, and their 7-year-old and 9-year-old kids.
Oh, God, yes.
Specifically, Sloan. What's her name? McHurley, Sloan, and Maddox McHurley. Anyhow, they're digging a sand pit hole like kids like to do.
Opposite of making a sandcastle. They're going deep. Maybe they were looking for microbes.
And these as kids, they're like, "Oh, you're digging a hole to China," kind of, one of those fucking things.
Yeah.
Well,
Mom and dad probably drinking beer or not paying attention or watching the waves,
and also they
have their sunglasses on.
They also happened to be on a beach that had no lifeguards, so suddenly there was basically a sand avalanche. All the sand just collapsed on them, and the girl didn't make it. Suffocated her. They couldn't find her. They found.
What a horrible way. Drowning in sand.
Oh yeah. She was. They didn't find her for 15 minutes. She was done.
Yeah. Terrible. Well, try to dig sand out, wet or dry. I wonder if it would have been easier if they wet the sand. Yeah.
Well, maybe? No, that deep, I would have thought it would have been pretty wet, anyways. But it didn't matter when basically the people were trying to dig him out. It would just collapse on itself. It just you get nowhere, and there's more of these deaths a year than shark attack deaths. This is actually fairly.
Who gets the attention? The sharks.
Yeah, we had to pick on the 100 million sharks we kill every year.
Pick on my spirit animal one more time. Don't do it.
Well, I mean, basically they say, at the beach, don't dig a hole deeper than your knees. Like that should
Well,
be
I
the
could tell you
cutoff.
that the sand flea is not my spirit animal
Oh,
or yours.
I had a terrible reaction to.
Oh,
Hold on, we got a little action over here in my neighborhood. No, I had a last time I was in. I wasn't the last time I was in Florida, but a couple years ago. I was in Sanibel Island off of Fort Myers. The place got destroyed in the last hurricane. Now, strangely enough, I had lived on Sanibel Island when I was like 22 for 6 months. I had like a music gig
doing
down
some
there.
musical soiree.
So I never experienced this. So I was confused. Anyhow, around twilight, I want to go see maybe the sunset. And it was really cliche. It was like a orange sunset with a kind of like Gulf turquoisey gray
No, it was
water.
like a postcard. It was
Yeah,
a perfect
no,
postcard.
and silhouettes of dolphins breaching. Like you could just see the darkness, like with the
It
sun in
was
there.
a perfect,
It
yeah,
was one of those things.
perfect Florida image.
Well, later that night
Except
and the next day, I had so many fucking bites. They call them nose sieves. I never felt them bite me. I nothing, and it wasn't just like itchy. It was like fucking
burning.
painful. And
Excuse me for laughing, but I feel your
well,
pain.
no,
It must have been horrible. And like
so
I said, horrible. Why did I even mention that? I had a feeling you might have had a attack of
well,
sand fleas.
I was thinking about it because a lot of times people like this happened to my mom. As you get older, you develop allergies that you didn't necessarily have before. So like my mom,
Yeah. Well,
I,
after we've consumed so many fucking poisons and pollutions, you're gonna get a little bit weakened in the immune system.
maybe I just remember when I was visiting my grandparents when I was a kid, my mom got stung by a bee, and it was one of those kind of like, do we go to the hospital things? Like the swell that she had an insane reaction, which she never got as a kid. So I was thinking,
like made of spiders.
well, so it's like a histamine reaction is what that is, and I had a really terrible histamine reaction. So this is where it's going. I was playing. There's this guitar player on the scene, Jonathan Goldberger, jazz guy. So I had a gig with him a couple weeks ago, and he grew up in Fort Myers. And I was talking to him about that, which that area. And I mentioned this, and he goes, "It's funny because last time I visited my folks, I went on a hike. I had the same thing." He goes, "When I was growing up, I never had that." So I'm wondering, are these things new? Like I don't we don't know.
Right. Our immune systems so filthified. Are we older? Are there more of them? Which of course there are.
I mean, how would I
Who the
know?
hell knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
So yeah, but why'd you bring these things up?
I don't know.
What the hell was that about?
The sand. The sand.
Oh, right.
I shark, sand flea. Not my spirit animal. I don't know. I felt it. I don't know. I pulled it out of your head like I do a lot of times.
Did you ever find any treasures or evidence or anything in the sand before?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. All right.
What about the stuff I've buried in the sand or dirt?
Oh,
well, that's for another episode.
Do you remember there in the early 80s, there was a kind of campy B horror movie called Blood Beach? I wanted to see it. My mom wouldn't let me see it, but I think.
Well, I think you had your own Blood Beach with your sand flea attack.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't think you needed to. You actually had your own horror story. Anyway, speaking about things that are horrifically beautiful out of a horrific, just extreme life due to circumstances, most usually beyond anyone's control, I'm very excited to have tattoo artist extraordinaire, draftsman of the highest order, Eddy Deutsche on this episode. That would be the Lydian Spin with Tim Dahl and Eddy Deutsche. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and my pal from long ago, tattoo artist extraordinaire and tattoo machine maker, Eddy Deutsche. Now, let me just say this. This is what's weird in another Trust the Witch moment. About a week ago, I'm talking to some tatted vets in Youngstown, Ohio at a gig, just mentioning like where they get their tattoos, who do they know who does tattoos. And your name came out of my mouth, which for some reason it hasn't left my mouth in a while. 2 days later, I get a message from our friend Phil Cavano, Monster Magnet Shrapnel, who I just did recordings with. Who goes, Eddy's reaching out to you. I'm like, must have heard me say his name. Hi, Eddy.
Hi, Lydia.
Nice to meet you,
so
Eddie.
great to see you.
Can I start with this? How did the two of you meet?
Eddie, you got any thoughts on that?
I think we met through Phil Caivano, yeah, through in New York, and then yeah, I spent some time with you in New Orleans.
That's right. You were down in NO, NOLA.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember how we met, and I didn't realize that we had met through Phil. And
yeah.
just full circle, here we are. I finally, after knowing him since '77, do some recordings with Phil, which come out soon. Sunday Hangover, Sexy in Your Ear kind of stuff, unpredictable.
Woo!
And then you came down to what's interesting is you came down to Orleans, and so did Freddie Corbin, another amazing tattoo artist. I
Yeah.
guess I just had the Love Shack. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're all love sick. 100%, baby. Yeah, with the sweet place with the beautiful cockroaches.
Oh, you mean the big flying ones?
Yeah, the big flying ones.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
You know, I've never had a cockroach infestation in New York, but in New Orleans, you get those big motherfuckers. They just dive bomb you, or the stinging caterpillars that fall out of the trees.
Ugh.
Those
Yeah,
are deadly.
never seen nothing like that. They didn't have them in Detroit.
So were you living in you were living in New Orleans as well?
No, sir. I just went there to visit Lydia.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Good times.
And to check out New Orleans, natural settings,
What did we do while you were there? Did you do a bunch of tattoos?
We went to Sister Alberta's. That was my highlight. Yeah.
All right, pass, but can you tell me what you remember about Sister Alberta's? Because when I remind people about this who've never been, they're just like, what? Like,
Yeah. It's amazing. It was like the coolest spot ever. It was like these two old black folks had like in their living room a restaurant for like one or two people to come and have dinner.
Six at maximum.
Oh, six at maximum. But then there was no other tables. It was just the one table in their house. Yeah, it was brilliant, and it was so good. And they had like a jukebox in the corner, and they had a bunch of recordings that they did. Jukebox. They were the gospel singer, and they had a song on the jukebox. It was "What Those Mean Old Jews Did to My Jesus."
It was when the Jews crucified my Lord. God. Okay, let me just fill out the Sister Alberta because I'm so happy to be reminded that we went there. All right. First of all, one room restaurant, one table, picnic table covered in plastic. Couldn't order. They made you what they had. Could be a couple of roaches on the wall, no biggie. There was two crooked steps going up to the living room that had velvet paintings of Martin Luther King and John Kennedy, and then a toilet slanted at an angle. But you had to sing or dance to get a $6 meal.
and would you? I guess I would love to see the two of you doing a little duet, dancing and singing. I mean, would you do it every time?
No, you had to do a dance or a song. You could sing from the jukebox. You had to, and they would too. That was part of the pay. $6 meal, a song or a dance.
And was the food always the same?
Delish.
Or is it? Do they mix it up? Was it like a different?
No, it was always the same. It was always pork chops, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, sweet potato. That's what you couldn't order. That's what they cook. Soul food. And they were about, Sister Alberta was about 5'5" period. And Johnny was about 6'5".
That's funny.
And they were Baptist. He might have been a Baptist minister, but that was.
Was it hot in there? Or did they have like
it's hot. It's New Orleans.
Yeah, they have a fan.
Okay. All right.
Like the one you got over your head right now. You're in Nashville, Eddie. So let's go back to those wayward days. So first of all, we met in New York, so you remember better than I did. Let's start a little earlier than that, because we're both from the Rust Belt. You're from Detroit. I'm from Rochester.
That's right.
We both left home at a very early age.
Yeah,
What'd you do? You're in Detroit. What'd you do? Tell us about the young runaway Eddy Deutsche.
The young runaway Eddy Deutsche was 14, run away to California, hitchhike, just fresh on of facilities the state provided. And I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back living with my mom. I couldn't do it. So I hit the road and I made it to California. Yeah,
which is amazing. And was punk rock one of your inspirations? Just that's it. I can't take it. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. I'm punk rock to the core, man. That's I'm from the Freezer Theater days. Negative Approach. John Brannon. I wore the shirt today because I knew I was going to be on this thing, and I was like, I'm gonna put a shout out to John Brannon and Negative
I mean,
Approach.
I love him. He's great. We had a moment watching ducks rape each other in Helsinki at a festival a couple of years ago. He told me, they rape each other, ducks. I go, I didn't know that. Thank you, John. But yeah, Negative Approach. I'm dying to have him on the show. So you're 14. See, I
Oh
ran away
yeah,
at 13
dude.
and then 16.
So
So
you're thumbing? Were you like train hopping? How did
Yeah,
you?
I train hopped and I thumbed and I went. I went. Yeah, I went along the way. It took me, I don't know, 3 weeks, I think, to get to California from Detroit, which is,
wow.
it took a while. Yeah, there was a lot of time in between. I'd spend little bits of time in places. Um, yeah, I was a little thuggish when I was young. Like I grew up
Now
with
you're
a.
a big thug. Yeah, you're a lot thuggish.
No, I'm a big daddy. I'm
Big
like a
daddy
totally.
teddy bear
Yeah, for sure, man, for
who
sure.
knows martial arts and boxing
So
and
did
can
the,
kill
did the
you with one
authorities arrest you on
blow.
this journey, or any police
On
creeping
a
on you,
given
or was
day,
it
on a
pretty
good day,
smooth?
right?
All right,
What,
go ahead. Let's go back
Oh
to your
man,
hobo
my
days. So
internet
you're
froze.
3 weeks to get to California, but you got to get there.
yeah, and I got there, and there was a lot of adventures along the way, and squats and punk rock, little quirks. I think I spent a week in Salt Lake City with I met a guy named Crazy Horse. He had a tattooed head that came down on his forehead, and one part that came down on his cheek, and they were like gutter punks, and it was just so fun hanging with them. They were yeah, they were wild, just wild.
Did you know you wanted to start doing tattooing? Were you already drawing? Because
Yeah.
let me just say, your art is so gorgeous, so
Thank
precise. You
you.
are a technician. It's very elaborate. Were you doing that as a kid? Were you doing drawings like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, for sure. I always was, focused on being a tattooer, pretty much my whole life, yeah. And I was doing tattoos when I was very young, hand poke
With
tattoo,
what? Pencil, a pen, and
hand poke.
and
Yeah,
a needle.
hand poke. And I got the opportunity to do a tattoo, to be in a tattoo documentary that was being made in Canada. And my friend, legendary Laura Lee, she was from Detroit, black punk rock lesbian, just amazing character, amazing person. And she was all tattooed up, and so she was going to be in the documentary. They talked to her, and she told them about me, that I could be in the documentary doing a tattoo if they could get me.
When you're just a young
Yeah,
punker doing tattoos.
yeah, I was like 14. Yeah,
Holy
14.
moly!
Whoa.
And so they got the old guy that was in the film, to loan me a machine, and he loaned me just the machine, nothing else. And it takes a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of extra stuff you need, right? And I didn't know really anything, except for like my little homemade jam, But I had an idea of what I needed, and anyway, we put it all together, and I did a tattoo in the documentary, and it's forever in history. Like, that was my first tattoo, right? I gotta.
Like, look, I mean, like most of us who, we've had over 240 episodes of this. So many people know what they want to do just from the age of 5, 7, 10, 14. We're driven to do what we're supposed to do. So you get to LA, then what? There you are. You don't know anybody, do you? What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
know?
I was in San Francisco for a pretty long time before I ever made it to LA. And it was just fun, punk squatting, living life, just doing stuff. I was kind of a criminal when I was young, like,
Oh,
and
kinda.
yeah, I mean, it's not something I'm proud of, and it's not, it is what it is. I grew up in that world.
It's
My
what we had to do. Excuse, we had to do it.
and who knows, had to, wanted to. That's all I knew to do. I don't know. I really don't know. But I can tell you this: at the time, I was not a good person to know. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a good person to connect with for some people, because I would make opportunities for madness.
There's a T-shirt I see with one of your designs. Opportunities for madness. Like it. I would make opportunities for madness.
So what kind of madness?
I mean, mostly,
naughty.
yeah, mostly unnecessary violence, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
just pushing boundaries of people, where they're willing to go, was something that got me off, and I was suicidal and just a mess.
Homicidal, suicidal.
Suicidal, yeah. Yeah, it was a mess, you
Were
know.
you getting arrested
But
regularly?
I only got arrested a couple of times, and I'm blessed. So I have angels and demons that are on my side, and they love me, and they don't want anything bad to happen to me. Or it's already happened, and I'm bleeding out in fucking, you know, in Dexter and Davison right now. And this whole last 45 years is just the fucking a moment, you know, before I go, I get to live all my dreams, which I've done. So that's not out of the question now, you know,
So
for me.
well, look, the beauty is this too, Eddie. Look, a lot of us come from less than fantastic origins. We break out. We may have to break a few things or a few heads in the process. Then we eventually, because we know we don't want to be in that cycle that created us, we want to break out of that through art, through music.
Yeah.
And here we are. And that's
Yeah,
what you did.
through art
You know?
and serving people. Yeah, yeah. Now I have a very clear vision of what happened and how it is. And you know, I step away from my ego and my stuff, and I see a, you know, a higher power. You know, not, you know, but I see a higher power at work, and I see how you know, I'm
Cause
just,
and effect.
yeah, 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 cause and effect. Yeah.
Energy, bad or good. You want good energy, you better put some good energy out. You know about that.
How old were you when you decided, like, you know what, I'm done with this chaos, and I want to just kind of.
Okay, when I was done, I started tattooing. So when I was done, I got my in. I was done at that point. I was like, my best friend was going to prison. He was going to prison for a long time. He wound up being a career prisoner. He wound up spending time in Pelican Bay, dying, you know, violent death. You know, this was my partner, the person I connected with the most, you know, and he, you know, was in multiple gangs, prison, you know, then went on to prison gangs, and he went on to the Harvard of gang, you know, culture. I mean, he was anyway, that was my best friend at the time, and then he went to prison.
How old were you at that time when
I was
he's being sent off for good?
17.
Wow.
See, that's a hard life lesson right there, early out the gate. Hello.
Well, then I got my break. I got my tattoo break, which I was kind of looking for, but I would go away from because it was so hard. It was impossible to get in tattooing. You know, now I see, you know, I was young, you know, I was too young to get in. It was not even a thing. You know, I didn't
You wouldn't
show
even be
any
allowed to get a tattoo legally at that age.
legally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although I did get tattooed from Bob Roberts and from all kinds of people when I was like,
Well, okay,
16.
and this is it. You actually you gravitated toward some of the rock solid, you know, stable standard tattoo artists, especially in LA. You got in there somehow.
That was,
Persistence.
yeah. I mean, there was only a few people that were doing it, and I definitely, you know, experienced all of them. So, you know what I mean? Like, I just, yeah, gravitated towards what's good. I had good taste. I knew some things, and, you know, I did have a fucking eye, you know, and I had a vision of what I thought was possible that no one was doing. And I had a vision of what I thought was cool and that nobody was doing.
And you had the drafting skills
I
to do
got
it.
them. I got them later, but I definitely had this raw, like, graffiti edge. You know, I had something when I was young that maybe I don't even have it anymore, but it was so powerful. Like, it was so powerful that I see it now when I look at the work, you know, like what was happening in those early days. Yeah.
Well, and also your work, even early stuff, is so bold, so colorful, and most important, so freaking precise. A tattoo better be precise. And let's just go back in time because we're talking a time when it wasn't like Ink Masters 1 and 2 on TV, Black Ink Crew, all of that stuff. This was still tattoos were pretty underground still. They weren't like they are now, where every waitress, every soccer mom, every dad, every person at the bowling alley is totally tatted with shitty tattoos.
Yeah, which makes sense to me because, you know, they are really cool, and the more that you see, the more that you're like, fuck, why wouldn't you do that, right? It's like, it's so primal, you know, it's so primal, it hits everybody at its core. And when everybody has a moment to see themselves in the light of someone who would have a tattoo, they start thinking what they would get or like how they would look with it. And then it's just a matter of like going over you know what I mean, like creeping over the other side of the line. And then you get it, and it's like, oh, that was kind of nice. And
it's addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive because it feels so good. It's like you're accomplishing something. There is an addiction. I don't know, because addiction, the word sounds, has a negative
There's an
connotation.
obsession. There's an obsession.
An obsession is always, an obsession can always not be good, but there is an end. There's a limit.
I haven't gotten a tattoo in many decades, but I have to tell you this: the most painful, not my octopus tattoo that Hanky Panky gave me, freestyle
Yeah.
7 needles. All right, Hell's
Yeah.
Angel passing out on the side. My most painful was a 1 needle on the
Yeah.
center of my spine. That's a very thin triangle, like a
Mm.
lotus with a triangle, and it caused me to start menstruating. And
Nice.
it was painful. I'm like, I took 7 needles to the ankle. I'm almost fainting over here. But, because it's also where the nerves are. Time of the month, moon is
Yeah.
in, moon is
Yeah.
full, going
All of
down.
it.
Is there any parts of the body that kind of make you squirm to this day when you have to do tattoos on people? Like,
No, I don't think I don't even think about that. That's just all part of the experience, and then the part of the letting go. Tattoos hurt just enough to be able to get through it and not need the fucking a numbing agent or something. And if you and if you do, then maybe you don't need a tattoo. You know what I mean? Like it kind of is like that. But I mean, they have all that stuff for people.
Well, and anybody that hasn't had a tattoo, has not gotten a tattoo, doesn't really know what it feels like, because it goes through levels depending on how long the tattoo takes.
Yeah, it's just like it's a meditation. It's exactly meditation. You sit there and you go through all the stuff and you let it go, and then it comes back. It's a wave, and then it comes back. And
What's the longest you've ever had somebody sit for a tattoo? Because big pieces, you got to do it in sessions.
I'm extremely fast. So like I'm an extremely fast tattooer, and I don't work on people more than 3 hours now. I would do days in a row, but what I get done in those 3 hours is a ton. So yeah, I basically that's like the my driving force the whole time for the technical stuff has always been like
Experience.
clear,
Clean.
without damage, and quick, make the experience as easy as possible, as painless as possible, using all the other techniques that I can possibly come up with from a million variations of things I've studied. Whether they work or not, it's like what I do in my mind, to make it happen, and it happens. It's like it's a dance, and everyone dances, a different one. So
do you have any tattoo artist heroes that are
fuck yeah, of course. Are you kidding me?
I would imagine so, but
I have major heroes. Yeah, major heroes. Ed Hardy is my biggest tattoo hero,
Classic.
both personally and in the world. Paul Rogers, my biggest tattoo hero of all time.
And one of the earliest people also helped you to develop your brilliance for making tattoo machines, right?
Paul Rogers, yeah, Paul Rogers did, and I'm not a brilliant tattoo machine. I'm a really good craftsman, and I'm a really good technician for putting tattoos on. Like, forget about the artwork, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really good at delivering.
No, I'm not going to forget about the artwork, because the artwork is fucking amazing. So
thank you. I appreciate
no
that.
forgetting.
If you break it up to two things, like the crafting and then the art are two different things. I mean, of course, one has to be for the other to exist, right? Like, without the one, you don't have the other. You know what I mean?
All right. So young punk rock Eddie with the need to
Yeah.
tattoo rolls into SF.
Yeah.
But do you find anybody there who's going to help you to, to get going? Who helped you in SF before you went down to LA?
Yeah, well, that Erno Zabaudy was working at Lyle Tuttle's shop, and he was very kind to me, and he let me hang out a lot, and he would talk to me, and then he arranged it so that I could get an apprenticeship. But then when Lyle Tuttle found out, that I was so young, because I was super young, 14, 15, something like that. He was like, no way.
Get out. Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't even be coming around anymore. And then
I'm not your daddy.
that kind of froze up, and then I left San Francisco. Everything happened for a reason, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that people, did what they did in in the process. Everything.
Well, and at that point in those years, there wasn't really that many places even that you could go and
Exactly.
say, "Hey, I'll sweep the floor. Let me in here." I
Yeah.
went, "Where do I start?" There just
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. And I was
It
so
was so
young.
limited.
I lived on the streets. I was clearly a,
Vagabond.
shady character. You know what I mean? Like they're probably smart, you know what I mean? Like, but I would never steal or do anything wrong to them. They could have probably used me, in a way that they, what I mean, that they didn't. So
Well, back then they didn't really need bodyguards at tattoo parlors. Maybe they do now. Maybe
yeah,
your
little
15-year
14-year-old.
old maybe your 15-year-old self could have bounced, but now you know what I'm saying.
If your best friend was super into gangs, how come you weren't into gangs, or were you in gangs?
Well, I was into my own thing. He was in the punk gangs, and he was in the Mexican gang too. So he was like in his neighborhood gang, and he was also in punk rock gang, because LA is all about punk rock gangs.
Yeah.
And I was in with him, but I didn't really take it to heart. I was a loner. I'm from Detroit, and I was also extreme, and I found a lot of those guys were not as extreme. And Mike, the guy, my friend, he was able to be corrupted and pushed, and I loved him for that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we were like gasoline and dynamite together. You know what I mean? It was the worst case scenario.
Well, sometimes within that youth violence that some of us have had or might still have a little stinkling of inside of, there is just a need to push out the poison that's been put into us anyway. Unfortunately, at first, it might be pushing it out into somebody else who's also been tortured. There's no proper victim except for dad, mom, goodbye, president, etc., politicians, corporate cons, blah, blah. But, that's just the nature of getting over the trauma or the abuse of the reality of our kind of fucking youth existence.
Yeah.
And we found a way out.
Yeah.
So also, okay, but wait, what about your boxing and martial arts? Because that's also a way to focus, to put it in the right place.
Yeah. For some, it would be. And if I was athletic, it would have been awesome for me. But I wasn't athletic. And I grew up in Detroit. I was in the boys club, boxing club Kronk boxing. I was probably one of two white kids in the thing. And I'm not athletic. You know what I mean? I wasn't good at boxing. I never was good at boxing. I was never good at any of that stuff. But when I was on the schoolyard, I was really good at boxing. But now I was I had some stuff that I knew from my dad's friends, the guys who worked with my dad, who taught me stuff, that these guys were real criminals. They were real bad guys, and they taught me the stuff that works. And
that's right.
It worked. I was really little. It worked.
You don't need that many. You need just the right moves. You don't need to know all that. You need the right moves. I just consider the throat punch a right move. That's just me. Hello.
Throat punch is an awesome move, and you can do it. You can do it so easily, and you don't have to do it hard.
Yeah, it doesn't even tire you out.
Yeah, it doesn't tire you out. Yeah.
Oh, I'm done. All right, so you're straightening out. You got your goal in mind. You're in San Francisco, but then when do you get yourself down to LA? And because then it's a very different tattoo scene as well down there then.
Yeah, I didn't start in San Francisco, and then I made it down to LA, and I didn't start in LA. I got into all kinds of dark stuff, and started following the path of other things. And my friend, he was getting arrested. He got arrested, and things were happening, and it seemed like it was bad. And I really wanted to get out of LA, and I went to San Diego, where I'd been once before with my friend, and I met these people at this tattoo shop called Inkers, and they were downtown. So I went to that shop because these guys were cool, and I never met like cool young guys tattooing. And it was Gary and Steve Smith, and they were cool. They had like a really cool vibe. They were like kind of hanging out biker, but more like Steve Smith was like a wizard. He was like a young rock and roll wizard, and his work was sick. He could draw. He was brilliant. And
and not many young tattoo artists at that point.
No, not at
No,
all.
no, none. No,
none,
get
none.
out.
Yeah. I never met one before. I met Joe Vegas, who was just starting, but he was like an apprentice. So he didn't show up like who he is, to me, at the time. But maybe like this guy Riley Baxter in LA. He also was like a super young tattooer, and he was real cool and stuff, and had his
Wait,
vibe.
what year were you in San Diego then?
So San Diego was like 87, 86, 87, something like that. 87.
And there's still like a hardcore and punk rock scene of music down there at that point, right?
Yeah, there was,
Before
but
it died out.
I was kind of out of the punk scene at this point already. I was kind of stepping away from that, and I was like leaning towards like I listened to like rockabilly music and stuff like that, and I was kind of like, yeah, I was kind of going in that direction, and also like I was really once I got in my tattoo shop, the second I got my job, I was like into being the tattooer. Like I wanted to like get every part of that, and I would hang out with like old tattooers in the mornings, like these old guys that worked around the corner. Lefty Al was super cool to me, and I hung out with him and like would do tattoo machine chores and like stuff like that with him, and that's all I did was tattoo and hang out with like Lefty Al and my boss,
in San Diego at that time.
Yeah, I wanted to appeal to punks, but by the time I actually got tattooing, it was like I was I was already removed from punks, even though I was still young.
Even though you were a punk, you weren't into the punk rock. I know, I got you.
The scene, the bars and all that stuff triggered me to bad things.
Yeah. You were the intermediate generation between the old school because you got in so young. And then after you came what there is now, which is I mean,
I've even been considered like kind of old school when I was like 20 years old. Like people would look at me and like, I heard a couple of times where someone came to get a tattoo for me and they were like,
that old school Eddy Deutsche,
they were like, they didn't believe that it was me. And I was just like, yeah, dude, it's me. Okay.
But old school in this sense means you're a classic, true and tried. You're a classic. Old school. Hello.
Yeah, hell yeah. I am old school. I'm an old soul, And I was old when I was fucking 16, I mean, I was old. Yeah, I was old.
I was a natural born killer. We come out that way. We can't help it.
Yeah.
So all right. So you're in the San Diego scene. How long you staying there for? You're still really young, but you're perfecting what you're doing.
Yeah, it all happened really quick. It was like, and then my boss. So I went to that shop, and that shop was gone, and they tore down a whole block. They tore down a whole block of San Diego downtown, and it used to be 3 blocks of tattoo shops downtown. That's where the sailors and Marines go.
So just real trashy. Trashy. I'm taking off the wall. Right?
It was like 70s. It's like I worked in a place that was right next to like a fucking arcade. You know what I mean? So like you hear the arcade in the thing, and the tattoo shop was like smaller than this room that I'm in right now, which is just a regular.
Well, and back then, the tattoo parlor was like joining the circus in a sense, because all the circus freaks would come to you, so you wouldn't have to move. The circus would come to you.
Yeah. And I was hoping for punk rock customers and stuff, and I tried my best. And I had a neighbor who was like in the punk scene, and then he wound up just starting to tattoo himself. So I never really bled into. I mean, I probably pilfered a few of his buddies, but for the most part, I definitely got some girlfriends from that, though. That was good.
I bet.
Yeah.
I did meet a pretty one who did great tattoos herself quite a while back. That's right. She specialized in flowers and lilies, and they were gorgeous.
How often do you have to deny someone's request about what they want, what kind of tattoo they want?
Deny their
basically like I'm not gonna do that.
There's like almost nothing I wouldn't do, honestly. I mean, I can't imagine someone like really honestly asking me for something that I wouldn't do.
But wait, because look, do you think because they know who you are, or if they come to you with a shitty idea, do you try to improve upon that? Like, all right, you want a bluebird.
Most everybody.
Bluebird, how about a red dragon?
Most, I mean, it's like everyone's coming to me is coming with something. You know what I mean? They're not too silly. I'm not really dealing with the general public anymore. I mean,
Well, I
I
was
would,
listening to.
I'm not against it. If someone wants to call me and ask me for something, I would say no to. Then we'll find out.
Hey, it's like I don't refuse people coming to my show. I like let them all in, whatever. But I was listening to another podcast with you where you said some guy drove all this way to get a tattoo from you and then just basically stalked you and wouldn't leave you alone. It's like understandable, but why? And what was the result of that? Like then what? So he's getting all like precious or possessive of you. What the fuck? I mean, of you, it's not like when you think of somebody stalking or whatever, you're like, well, no, because that doesn't make any rhyme or reason. Whoever stalks, whoever they want to stalk, there's no fucking sensibility to it anyway. It's like you could have killed him with one blow. What the fuck does he want?
Right.
And it's a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Weird. Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, you didn't really answer me, but I'm still swilling on the thought of that possibility of both you knocking him out and what the fuck he wanted.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what you said in that podcast is it seemed like he thought you owed him something for driving all the way.
Oh my God. You're talking about this guy. Oh my God, dude, that guy was, I mean, I don't know. People get weird, they get weird with their expectations and then they don't get that they're a big part of the whole thing. I mean, this is not just someone coming to get a tattoo. They're coming to get some piece of magic that does exist. I definitely wield that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Their version might be from another testament of a different book than what we offer.
Exactly. It's like
right.
It's like you got to be a part of the process here. You know what I mean? And like everything you do, even though you're saying you're trying, you're saying you're doing it, you can't really do it. And I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do for you.
And you're being very vague, but I understand to the best that I can that somebody is coming because they know you possess something that they feel they should have a part of by their very existence, which may or may not be exactly what you have. It's what they read into you. The same way people read their fear into my face often. That's the opposite thing. It keeps me pretty safe because they stay away.
Yeah,
motherfuckers. That's right, motherfuckers. You better stay away. I heard that and I'm like, geez, I was very intrigued with that.
That's cool. You're listening, and we could talk about it. We'll dive into that one. It was definitely
creepy.
Sounds like he's just mentally ill.
A little bit, yeah, but like on the border, and it's like I've had friends like this guy too. Like, so I understand
madness.
What's happening there. I've heard the other side of the story.
Okay,
and I've always been like, hey, let's just, I try to take it down, but usually it's not. I mean, I've had some pretty weird experiences with people in the last 2 years. That guy was
in Nashville.
No, but this guy was in Nashville, but he didn't come from Nashville. He drove here from Oregon. I mean, he drove here from Oregon. He was, everything about it was cool. Like if he was until it got weird, right? Like until it got weird, he was like, wait a minute. Oh, and then, you can do it any color you want. And then it's like, you do it. And then he's like, but you made it with the red. You used red. Like, what the fuck?
Well, that's your fuck. Excuse me. Have you noticed my forte? Red.
I don't know what
dragons.
You're talking about. Use any color as any color. That's all there is to it.
And the thing is, you're giving him everything that he deserves, and he wants more that he doesn't deserve.
I mean, we all deserve everything. It's like, it just be cool, and cool shit will happen. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, Eddie. Okay, so knowing you as I do, because we haven't spent that much time together, but knowing you as I do, because we're from the same cloth.
Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point that made you just go? And was it when you finally had the right tattoo gun in your hand that you're like, you know what? I'm not going to be part of the wheel that propelled me into the bullshit that I'm carrying on in the tradition of my fucking heritage, of the violence that has been perpetuated throughout our bloodlines, and we don't even know how long.
It's like, I mean, I can tell you right now, I landed, I was in San Diego. I went to Colorado. I followed my boss to Colorado. He sold his shop to Tiger Jimmy's, and he moved to Colorado. And so I followed him after a few months of just working out of my house and doing nothing, playing with girls and saying goodbye to California. I followed him to Colorado, and then in Colorado, I was bored. There was no work, and I was doing a lot of drawings, but I started talking to Leo Zulueta, and he gave me the number.
By the way, let's just describe who Leo is for a minute for people that don't know, because he basically brought tribal tattoos.
I mean, beyond that, yeah, he brought this image, he brought this style of tattooing into the world, into our world, not into the world, but into our world.
Yeah.
And it was a bridge, and he's an incredible human being who's like just so fucking awesome, and just so being in his presence, is like,
I mean, I just got goosebumps when you said that, and I've only met him a few times. The thing is, he did bring something that then has defined what came after him in a way, with all this hardcore black tribal tattooing and being a cool motherfucking dude. Hello. But he was in Colorado at the time?
No, Leo was in California, but I had gotten tattooed by Leo in the interim of San Diego,
Colorado.
in between San Diego and Colorado. And I always wanted to get tattooed by him, but I made it happen, and I got tattooed by Leo, and he put me in contact with Paul Rogers about the machines, because he had Paul Rogers machines, and I wanted them really bad.
Tattoo machines,
yeah,
right?
I wanted them really bad. Yeah, Paul Rogers was interviewed in Tattoo Time, and all the old timers that I talked to in my life, like Mel the Head in Detroit, they were all talking about Paul Rogers and how sweet and kind, and how awesome he was, and could stand on his hands, and all this other bullshit. Anyway, so he put me in contact with Paul, and I was in Colorado, and I was like, I get some machines, and Paul said, hey, why don't you come out and visit me? So when I was in Colorado, I still had a very dark side, and I was tattooing, and I had been tattooing for a little while, and I started to get the hang of it.
How old were you then?
I was like
early 20s.
Yeah, or 18, 19. I was young. But you got to remember, for me, my 18 was much different, because I left home at 14. I didn't go.
Yeah, of course. No, hard 4 years.
Yeah, no. So anyway, so then I went to Paul Rogers' place. I landed there, and I was going to spend 3 days and then work on a machine and build a couple machines with him. And yeah, he let me stay with him. He was like, you don't need a hotel, just stay with me. I'm old, I live alone, my wife died. I'm lonely. It's cool. So then I wound up staying another week. I extended my trip. I had so much fun, and he wanted me to stay, and then I extended another week, and I did that over and over and over again, every single week for 3.5 months. So at that point, Paul Rogers personally changed my life in such a dramatic way that there was no turning back. I had this old man's love.
Because he was how old at the time? He was like over 60, 70s.
Oh yeah, he was 80. I mean, here, I'll
80. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, and that's something that before that neither of us had. That wasn't somehow corrupted, was the love of an older father figure who was loving. Yeah. Because week after week, you're seeing the possibility of another reality.
Well, it wasn't just the possibility. It was like, I mean, I was organizing all of his things, and I was doing all this work at his house, like in the little time that I had not working on tattoo machines with him. And I read all of the letters. He was a corresponder, he was like, before the internet and all that, he had like boxes of letters just piled in them. So I like organized them to people, because they were all the same people over years,
We're doing his archives.
Yeah, I basically set up boxes of archives. I set it all up. It was like I was a fucking clerical worker. I'm a kid from Detroit. I never done nothing like that before. Alphabetical order. And I figured it all out myself. I did that all for him. I would never do that for myself, but you know what I mean? Like I did that for him. And in the process of doing that for him, and then all day long, I'd be like filing and welding. And
because when did he start tattooing? Like we were talking way in the way back.
1900s.
Yeah, early, right?
Yeah,
because he's 80 when you go to hang.
Yeah,
80.
He was 80.
You young punker at 18, you better learn something, son.
Yeah.
Time to get a grip.
Yeah.
Let's just talk for a minute about, because people who get tattoos, they don't really think about the mechanics of a tattoo machine. It's like, where do you get one? Like, for instance, I'm just talking about like the hilarity of Ink Masters when they gave them one test where they get, all right, put your machine together. No, none of them knew how to fucking assemble it, which, I don't know how to assemble guitar or even tune one, but what I'm saying, how important is your machine? Because as a draftsman, as a craftsman, you're amazing. Does the machine make so much of a difference? It has to, like the guitar, the bass, or does it? I don't know. Tell me.
Well, I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm lucky, fortunate, whatever. I come from a time when, yeah, like if you didn't make your tools, you had to find the one person that could and then do what they needed, whatever that was, so that they would share that with you. That was like, that was usually like, giving up your, half of your paycheck or whatever for like, however many years. Like, people would have you work at their shop and then you can use their equipment, but I mean, so for me, it was like about just being self-sufficient and having it. Now I can understand why you wouldn't. It's a market now. You could get a machine, from a lot of people, what I mean, that, there, or even the companies. I mean, I work with these guys at Workhorse Irons in Michigan. They're my brothers in Michigan, and they are fucking awesome. And they make
helping to design the tattoo machines.
Well, I make one. I make one for me. I make my model. I mean, they make a bunch of models.
Wait. You make only a model for yourself? Nobody else can get that? Or
No,
it's the Eddy Deutsche
model? Yeah. They can get them. They can.
It's your signature model. You have a signature.
It's my signature model. Yeah, and I have one.
What makes your signature model different?
My signature model,
or is it for a specific kind of tattooing?
Yeah, I mean, it's made to run like I want my machines to run. So for my type of tattooing that I do, then guess what? The machines that I make, they fucking do that job.
And let's just wait a minute. Let's just talk for a minute. For somebody who hasn't seen the kind of tattoos you do, which are densely high color, lots of red, often with dragon, often witches. Right, I mean, I don't know if anybody else was doing. They weren't your style of tattooing at that time, which has become kind of popular.
But, I mean, the one thing that I pretty much, was one of the founders of, and one of the styles that, you could say that about me is the biomechanical tattoo, the drug-induced Japanese style, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a very much my style that, there are people that do it now very, very well. And, it's super cool, man. I mean, it's wild. That's why I say, I'm living the dream. It's like I don't even have to do it sometimes. And now there's even the guy that I know of. There's a couple guys, but there's one guy that I know of that's in Canada, and I love this guy's work, and I love him too now. You know what I mean? And it's like literally like the future of what happened.
Of part of what you set the standard of. Which is. I wish I could feel the same way with people who think they're imitating my fucking music, because I've yet to hear anybody doing it accurately. I'm just saying, but what
about the future? I mean, meaning automation, robots.
Oh, like that. I mean, that stuff doesn't really concern, or even I don't even care about that. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the minute it comes into that, it's like it's just something totally different.
Yeah, totally.
It's already something totally different. So you know what I mean? Like. Yeah, that stuff is like whether it happens or not.
Okay, let me ask you the question of why. When you're doing a tattoo, look, it could be your idea or somebody else's. You are still bleeding as they are bleeding a bit of your essence into them. Yeah, and there is a soul exchange, because you're not just doing here's a bluebird, give me I love mom. So
I don't know how to do that style tattooing. No. I'm not that guy. That's why I don't do walk-ins. I'm not that guy. I'm gonna connect. I want to connect with folks. I want to fucking be a deep thing. I want to put an edge on their thing that makes it fucking sicker than they can even get right away. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
Now I want them to look at it and be like, and get
of course, because that's the way we do shit. Now, I saw this one book that you have out, which is beautiful, but and also on the podcast I was listening to, you're like, why don't you have more merchandise out there, or do you have any merchandise? So you did this one hard You did this one hardback book. Tell us about it. What you got for sale, son? What you got?
Oh, okay. What I got for sale? That's cute.
What you got for sale that people can afford?
I was gonna try to plug my book because I do have 100 of them left, I think, and I would
let's talk about this book.
I would like to get rid of them. I have 2 books made with Raking Light Projects, and it's one book is from the 80s, like the late 80s and the very early 90s, and it goes through a bunch of the tattoos that I was doing back then, and
which stylized mostly. Just give us a slight description.
Yeah, it's
again,
very
they're very precise and gorgeous.
Yeah. My work was very, it was futuristic, you know what I mean? Like, but in a sense, like it was still drawn in a way that was meant to be a tattoo, or at least what I still stand by, and I can still look through this book and say that these designs were drawn to stand the test of time and be strong tattoos. It wasn't like a thing of just making it fancy for fancy's sake, or like, I don't know how to describe it, but it definitely
I do. You look, you're taking the essence of somebody's soul and imagination, mixing it with yours and putting it out. And here's this beautiful book. So you got 100 left. We got to sell those things.
Yeah. Just Dan Higgs wrote me a fucking forward. I mean, Freddie wrote a forward too. Freddie Corbin,
another amazing artist. He did most of my work. I got to get him on the show too.
You definitely,
because you're both from the same you're from the same period, different styles, but still amazing fucking characters. And yeah, we got it. Where's Freddie now?
Right there. That's him right there.
No, not on the photo. Where physically
is he? He's in Oakland. He's got a...
Okay, all right. He's in Oakland. All right.
Yeah, Oakland tattoo shop. Yeah.
All right. So you got 2 books. So you got these 2 books.
Yeah.
But how come you never did T-shirts, or have you ever done T-shirts?
I mean, I've done some T-shirts. I do them every once in a while, I want to make merch for you. I want to do a merch.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, no, I want to do some work for Lydia. I love you. I mean, who else is going to...
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you.
I've always loved you. I've loved you before I met you. When I met you, you're one of the few people that ever made me a little tiny, I was like a little like, holy shit, it's fucking...
What I make you? Wait a minute. What I make you a little uncomfortable? You big bad daddy? Come on, baby.
No, not uncomfortable. Just
I made you comfortable.
Yeah, definitely comfortable. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I wonder how comfortable you would be if I was sitting on your lap right now, bouncing up and down, going, "That's right. What you drawing tonight, honey?" Well, we'll keep that between ourselves, because only we know what that might be. But again, because you like us with Phil Cavano, like there are some, like Freddie, even Corbin. There are some people that come together. How we come together? We have mysterious origins, meant to know each other.
Yep.
Coming out of similar backgrounds or experiences that have gotten over through art, through art, to do something and rise above, and to share our art, with whoever can tolerate it, with whoever can stand the needles, whoever stand the needles of my voice.
Yeah.
I got a silver tongue, baby. You got a silver needle.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a technical question, because I know very little about tattoos. How often does someone need like a touch up, like a kind of chip, new?
I mean, if it's done really well, it never needs a touch up. You know what I'm saying?
Good to know.
Good to know. Bottom line, yeah, it never needs a touch up.
Also, people have to take care of their tattoos.
Yeah, people have to take care.
Grease that shit up, man.
It's like, yeah, exactly. You can redo it when you feel like it. When you feel like you want to sharpen yourself up, then redo it.
Right.
Well, one thing you are not going to do is sharpen that triangle that made me start menstruating, because that ain't going to happen no matter what at this point.
See,
I don't mind bleeding for you, baby, but it ain't going to be for that reason. No. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, Eddy Deutsche, amazing craftsman, beautiful designs, tattoo extraordinaire, ex-violent punk rock maniac. Now,
tattoo schemes,
so fucking gorgeous.
And then the other book is this book, which is
these are like the drawing. These are like the drawing, scratch drawings, black and white.
This is like literally a sketchbook. I'll open this one up, but these
are you got the full tattoo, beautiful, high color, glorious images, and then you got the sketchbook.
Yeah, so this is like literally like just a page, like a book of my sketchbooks. So it has plans and like it shows the thought process.
Where do they get this? How do they order? Do they go to your Instagram?
They go to Raking Light Projects. Raking Light Projects is where they get those books. And there's
You'll
still
send us the link and we'll put it up.
All right, sick. I will. I'll send you the link.
Eddy Deutsche, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really fun.